Hi, I'm Amory Swift. Welcome to my channel, my first ever video. Here I want to be talking about the ancient Near East. And I am just a little bit about me, what gives me the desire to talk about this. I was going to say me the right, but anybody has the right, let's be real. I'm a student for ancient Near Eastern Studies and Archaeology at Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah. Now, there are a lot of really there are rumors and stereotypes, and most of those rumors and stereotypes are legit about BYU. Please don't think I'm a weirdo, though. Anyways, I want to talk about the ancient Near East on my channel, and I want to start by just kind of jumping into what even is the Near East? Like, what do I mean by that? I think that a lot of people either just don't know at all, like they hear the Near East and they're like, what part of the world are you talking about? Or on the other hand, they think of the big three. Now, the big three is not a common term. I think I might have made it up. I don't know. If I heard it somewhere, I don't remember. So to explain what I mean by the big three, it's this area right here. It's more of that Mediterranean area. It's Egypt, the Levant area, so like Israel, and Hellenism. Now, I say Hellenism because I'm kind of merging Greece and Rome and all of that into one area because that's they are very similar and they kind of bleed into each other. Now, there are some core differences that we can discuss in another video. It's important to remember that they are different, but they're very similar and they did very similar things. They functioned similarly and they were in the same part of the world. So that's what I consider the big three. And I think a lot of times most of the focus in Near Eastern study goes into these areas because they are easy to study. They're more recent than other aspects of the Near East. I say recent loosely. And that we have a lot more documentation for them. And it's really interesting. A lot of world religions still practice things that are directly tied to these areas of the world. And then obviously Egypt has the pyramids of Giza and the Sphinx and things that are very large and really just draw people's attention, be they scholars or not. So this area of the world, this area of the Near East is focused on very heavily. So I want to talk about, though, what is kind of accepted as the broader term of what the Near East is. So this is a really interesting map, and I've chosen it because I kind of want to pick it apart and show you some of the difference in opinions and arguments about what the boundaries of the Near East consist of. So we have Egypt and Sudan, and most of the time that is the cutoff of the farthest west the Near East goes. We have a lot of arguments for Libya, and there are people who debate incorporating more Libyan things into the Near East. And then really heavily focused on the Levant, which is Lebanon, Israel, that coast of Syria along the Mediterranean Sea right there, and then Turkey. And then it goes as far as Iran. Sometimes we leak into Afghanistan when we're discussing Persia. I find that it's very rare. I have not really leaked into Afghanistan in my more mainstream classes that I take as I study this in school. But we do get to that part of the world sometimes. Saudi Arabia, Yemen, and Oman, so this lower part, the UAE, Qatar. Now, those are areas that I assumed would be a part of the Near East when I began my studies. But when we are talking about the Near East, it's very, very rare that we actually go into this area of the world, this further south. As much as I would like to dive into it more, it's been hard to find classes and research in this area of study that I can have access to because people just don't always go down that south. Now, it's debated that it should be incorporated a lot more, and I definitely think it should be, especially when we're studying the Iranian area, the Iranian plateau. There's a lot of trade going on because of the Persian Gulf right there. So I definitely think that we should be incorporating it more. And that kind of brings me to my next point, which is how I'm going to cover the Near East, because I'm a very opinionated individual, and I definitely have my ideas of what we should be including into the Near East. Now, I apologize for the really bad photo here. I had a really hard time finding a map that I felt would show well enough. So I want to start over in Libya. So from Libya down to Chad and then over to Sudan, Ethiopia, Eritrea, and Somalia. I think that all of these areas are very closely intertwined with each other and Egypt. And so I think that these areas need to be more associated with the Near East than they are. And then obviously all the classic areas of Egypt, Greece, Turkey, Iraq, Iran. But I think we should go south into Saudi Arabia, Yemen, and Oman, that area more. I think we should also go further east, over to India and Nepal. I think that these areas share a lot of influence, especially with the Iranian plateau, the Persian Gulf area. They are relatively close and they have kind of a similar structure, and I feel like are in an area where people tend to forget how intertwined that they are, at least in the circles I have been in Near Eastern studies. So I think that this as a whole should be more connected. And so as I discuss the Near East, I will discuss places as high up as like Uzbekistan, as east as India and Sri Lanka, as south as Somalia, Yemen, Oman, and as west as Libya and Chad. So that's kind of how, like, moving forward, that's how I'm going to be talking. This is the area of the world that I am talking about when I refer to it as the Near East. And just keep in mind, as we have more scholarly aspects of the Near East, and I am not a professional, I'm an undergrad student.
Okay, I'm super passionate, and so here's my little passion rant for you, why I think understanding and knowing this stuff is important, and kind of what my channel's going to look like going forward. So I really think that studying ancient cultures it's one of the most important things you can do. As we study the evolution of the socio-political structures of the past, we can greater understand what's going on around us today. So moving forward, I don't want to just be a history channel, but I want to apply this history to the world events that are happening right now. I mean, it's insane. The world is completely crazy right now. I know for me, I go to a lot of rallies, and if you've been following what's going on in Utah right now in 2025, there was a shooting at the No Kings protest in Salt Lake City, and these kind of things happen all the time. Especially, I live in America, so these kinds of things happen all the time. And even outside of my crumbling society that I live in, there are things all over the world that are scary and dangerous, and people are suffering. And we ask ourselves a lot, what can we do? What can I do? How can we fix things? Now, I don't have answers. I'm 23 and can barely pay my bills. But what I do know is that people have always peopled, and we can learn from them. And they set the foundation of our socio-political structure that we have today. In the Near East, it is a beautiful bridge between Asia, Europe, and Africa. And with all of those cultures interacting together through the Near East, all of that, they just kind of bleed over into each other. I really hope you guys like what I'm doing with my hands here, because I don't know what I'm doing. But it's incredibly important, and the Near East is a perfect control group almost to look into where we have gotten our ideas from and what things might lead to. And so I hope to kind of be not only archaeological historical channel moving forward, but also a little bit of political commentary. So welcome. If you watched it this far, thanks for doing that. I appreciate it. Yeah, so I'll see you next time, and we will dive into something from the Near East now that you have a little bit of an understanding about what the fuck I am talking about.